I'm working still on the little bedroom, and I figured I'd make a little seat cushion for my little stool, but unfortunately it didn't fit. So I figured, well, I'll remake it and I'll take you along and show you how I did it. So this little seat cushion is actually made out of faux leather, and this is the little Strombecker stool that I was making it for. And it did fit, but then after I put the fabric on it, it wouldn't squish in, so I'm going to have to remake it. So the whole secret to doing this is not to just use any old wood. I'm actually using plywood. So I've got out here my trusty saw, and you can see here it's plywood. Now this plywood actually came, I think, in a 3-pack for $1.50 from the dollar store, and it's good sturdy wood. If you use like a balsa or a softer wood, I don't think it would stand up to the abuse that I'm going to be putting it through. Because I super overstuffed it, that's why the original one doesn't fit. Now it's finished. So this one here I made just slightly smaller. So you can see here that's going to be about the size that I'm working on. And I'm actually going to be really overstuffing this. So to do this, I'm actually using some packing material. Now this packing material came with something that I received in the mail. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just drawing 4 little dots in the center because I want to have 9 little tufts when I'm finished. So I'm just marking it by hand, so you need 4 in the center. If you were doing a larger piece of furniture, of course you would need more tufts. So I've got out here my hand drill. And I'm picking a drill bit that's going to be big enough that I can get my sewing needle in and out of. So I didn't choose the smallest one. I actually chose a much larger one than probably what I actually needed, but it's bigger for these holes to be larger rather than too small, because then it'll be really difficult to work with. So I really like this hand drill. I think it's really super handy to use, and it actually drills through this wood quite nicely, as you can see. So I'm just drilling the hole, and you just got to be patient and use a fair amount of pressure with it, and there you go, I'm through. So now you can see I've got all 4 holes drilled, and that's what it needs to look like. So now I need to cut the foam the correct size to sit on top of this little piece. So now I'm just fitting the foam on, and I'm using these really super sharp little pair of scissors to cut it nicely. My friend Cheryl gave me these scissors, and oh, I love them. I wished I could find the store where she got them from, because I'd like to have about 20 pairs of these. They're just like perfect for doing miniatures. So as you can see here, I'm just cutting 2 squares of this foam product. Now you don't have to use this foam product. It's probably less than ideal, but I'm using what I have. So quilt batting would look fine. I've also seen people use, those little round circles that you get for cleaning your makeup off your face. You could use that as well. And of course I've got out the trusty tacky glue. So these are some of the fabrics that I have to choose from. So I've got this little white, and I really like this one, but unfortunately I don't have a nice corresponding thread to do it with. And that one's kind of got a pinky undertone to it. And then, of course, there's this pink one. So it's not going to take much fabric to do this little piece. So I'm going to go with the pink one. So basically what you do is you take your little seat cushion, and you want to make sure that you're going to be able to wrap it around and glue it onto the back. And oops, yeah, you want to do it right side out. So basically what I'm doing is I'm folding it over, and I want to leave it so that the holes are, oops, that was my telephone. No, I want to leave it so that the holes are showing, so I can see where to sew it. So I'm just going to trim it down to make sure that it fits properly. So I'm just adding some tacky glue to the edge of it, and then I will wrap this up. Now I want to wrap it up fairly tightly, but not so tightly that it's going to squish the entire little pad completely flat. So you can see here I'm just kind of gluing the edges on, and then I will wrap it like a present and glue the sides on. This is my technique to gluing the sides down. Probably not the right way to do it, but hey, as long as you wrap it nice and neatly, that's the whole point. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just making it again so that I can see those little holes. Being able to see those holes when you go back to sew the tufts really makes a big difference. So you can see here I'm going to be adding some glue and then folding that over, and I'm just kind of cutting little triangles out so it's not quite as bulky. So I'll glue it on the sides and then flip it over and glue it down. Now I've got it glued down. I'm just testing it to make sure that it still fits my little seat. And you can see here that I did make it quite bulky, but I did that on purpose because I really want those tufts to stand out. If you don't want your tufts to stand out quite as much as mine, well then only use one layer of the foam. So this here is top stitching thread, which is just a little bit more sturdy than regular thread. And basically what I'm going to do, I'll just show you how I start it. So I go in from the back in through one of my holes, and you can see here it's because I made those holes fairly large, it's pretty easy to sew through it. And then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to knot it at the back, and that will be the start of my first tuft. And you have to make sure that you knot it quite securely and quite tightly, and that's why I'm using this kind of thread, because it can take the tension a little bit better than just regular sewing thread. It's a polyester blend, but not only that, it's a little bit thicker than regular thread. I suppose you could use a really thick, sturdy cotton thread as well, but whatever it is that you choose to use, make sure that it's not just a really fine, regular sewing thread. You want something just a little bit thicker than that. And I'm just going to trim off the little bit of excess. So you can see here, there's the start of my first tuft. And I'm going to go in through the back, and I'm just going to continue repeating making these tufts through every single direction. So at the end I'm going to end up with 9 tufts, and you can see how, yeah, that's how I sew. Big mess. So yeah, so there you go. So I'm just going through the back hole here. And it's a little bit easier to go through the back than it is through the front, but once you have your places marked by sewing through to the front, it's easy enough to go back in. So there you go. So as you can see, you just gotta wrap it really tight and hold that tension, and then go back in. And you can see here that it's not that hard to do, and the result is really quite adorable. I think it looks really good. So I just got a little bit of glue on my hands here, so, and you can see I'm just pulling it, making sure that it lines up nicely, and there you go. Now here's my first part where I've got to go back in through the front, and you got to find the hole, and Yeah, so you just keep on sewing it repeatedly to make sure that every single square is sewn, both on the edge and in the center. So I think it looks really cute. This is what it looks like when it's partially sewn. So it takes a little bit of time to do this, but I think it's worth it. And it would be really nice to do like a little miniature sofa or a miniature chair this way. I think it looks super realistic. However, once that's said, it's you can't just use any old wood to do this, because you are putting so much tension on this little piece of wood. I've got this thing completely sewn up, and I've tied it on the back, and that's what the cushion looks like. So I think it actually looks quite different. So I really like this look. I think it adds just a little bit of realism. I mean, I love Strombecker furniture because it's vintage and in some cases antique and very lovely, but it doesn't have a lot of detail. So this is the reason why I made this little cushion, because I wanted to give it a little bit more detail. And I wasn't really sure that I would like that pink, but actually now it's done, I really kind of like it. And as I say, I made it quite puffy on purpose. You could make it less so. And this is what it's going to look like with the rest of the bedroom furniture. Not too shabby. I think it looks good. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope I taught you a skill that you might be able to use in your own miniature scene. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. It's free of charge. And please hit that like button. And if you press the notification button or the bell, it'll let you know every time I upload a new video. Well, thanks again for joining me, and please have the best day ever.